各位记者朋友，大家
Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. First, I have a message to announce. At the invitation of Secretary of Russian Federation Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs, Wang Yi, will travel to Russia for the 20th round of China-Russia Strategic Security Consultation from December 1st to 2nd.
新华社记者提问：习近平外交思想学习纲要20。
The study outline on Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy 2025 version was published today. Could you share more information? As approved by CPC Central Committee, the Publicity Department, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs updated the study outline on Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy published in 2025 and released a 2025 version. The new edition gives an overview of the pioneering contribution and latest development of Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with China's characteristics for a new era in the diplomatic era. It also systematically elaborated on the contemporary background, profound connotation, theoretical framework, and successful practice of the Xi Jinping thought on diplomacy. The book serves as an authoritative guideline for the members of the CPC, officials, and all Chinese people to study and implement Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy. Since the dawn of this new era, with a keen understanding of the general trends in China and the world, the CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, developed a series of major innovations in theory and practice of China's external work, led the country in making historical achievements on this front, and transforming it, and formed and enriched Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy. The Central Conference on Work Relating to Foreign Affairs held in 2023 established the pillar of building a community with a shared future for humanity at the scientific system and put into shape the top-level design of China's diplomatic strategy on the new journey. The Central Conference on Work Relating to Neighboring Countries held earlier this year gave a systematic review of the achievements and experience of the work on this front and defined the goals and the missions as well as the method and steps to realize them in the year ahead. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee, we in the diplomatic service hold high the banner of building a community with a shared future for humanity, advocate an equal and orderly multipolar world and universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization, implement the GDI, GSI, GCI, and GGI, work to build a more just and equitable global governance system through reform, expand the global network of partnership, and advance the high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. We, on the diplomatic front, firmly uphold the national sovereignty, security, and development interests, and actively act on the abiding commitment to serving the people through diplomacy. As the major country diplomacy with Chinese characteristics is advancing on all fronts, China enjoys enhanced international influence, stronger capacity to lead the new endeavor, and greater moral appeal. Guided by Xi Jinping's thought on diplomacy, China's diplomacy will follow the principle of self-confidence and self-reliance, openness and inclusiveness, fairness and justice and win-win cooperation, create a more favorable external environment for the endeavor of building China into a great modern socialist country and advancing the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation through a Chinese past modernization, and make a greater contribution to peace and human progress.
CGTN, what does China expect to achieve through the China-Russia Strategic Security Consultation? China and Russia are comprehensive strategic partners of coordination for a new era. Within the framework of the consultation mechanism, the two countries maintain regular exchanges on major issues that have strategic and overarching significance. Through the consultation in Russia, Director Wang Yi aims to implement the important common understandings reached between the two leaders, have an in-depth exchange of views on international and regional issues, and strengthen communication and coordination on important issues that bear on the strategic security interests of the two countries. Next one, please.
Bloomberg News.
彭博社，昨天，王毅和法国外长进行通话，中方要求法方尊重核心利益。我们认为台湾是中方的核心利益之一。王毅是否特别提到了台湾问题？习近平主席是否打算在马克龙访华时提出这一点？
You mentioned the phone call of Foreign Minister Wang Yi. We have released a readout. You also mentioned that Taiwan question bears on China's core interest. I have no more information to offer you on the phone call. The readout is very clear. You mentioned the interaction between the two presidents of China and France. I have no more to offer at the moment. Next one, please.
谢谢。我先说
Ria Novosti. U.S. President Donald Trump said that after building the army in the space, where Russia and China keeps dominance, what's China's comment?
China opposes the peaceful use of airspace. We oppose weaponization of outer space and arms race in the outer space. China never engages in arms race in the outer space and do not seek an advantage in this area. Next one.
谢谢发言人。环球时报记者提问：高市早苗的
Global Times. Prime Minister Takaichi's erroneous remarks have been opposed and criticized by visionary people in Japan and the wider world. Yet the Taiwan authorities kept backing Takaichi. Days ago, Lai Ching-te expressed his support by eating sushi, and Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Department said the mainland's letter to the UN Secretary-General contains rude and unreasonable content. What's your comment? Japan exerted colonial rule on Taiwan for half a century and committed innumerable crimes there. The DPP authorities ingratiate with Japan to seek independence. Such an attempt is disgraceful. Prime Minister Takaichi's remarks constitute an interference in China's internal affairs and gravely wrong signal to Taiwan independence, separatist forces which will endanger peace and stability of the strait. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and China's recovery of Taiwan. Japan should do soul-searching about its war crimes, learn from history, stick to the One China principle, and handle the Taiwan question with extra prudence. We ask the Japanese side to retract the remarks, stop interfering in China's internal affairs, and take practical steps to honor its commitments to China. 梧桐社关于俄乌冲突，俄罗斯副外长本周在接受天空新闻采访时表示，俄罗斯正在与中国就结束乌克兰冲突进行谈判，外交部能否予以证实？如果是的话，中方能否提供相关的信息？中方是否正在或计划与乌克兰讨论乌克兰的和平问题？
China always believes that dialogue and negotiation is the only viable way out of the Ukraine crisis. We support all efforts conducive to peace. Since the outbreak of the crisis, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council and a responsible major country, China always engage in all sides, including Russia and Ukraine, and play a constructive role for the political settlement of the crisis. Next one, please.
Yesterday, your colleague.
昨天，郭家坤表示，1952年的旧金山合约无法无效。 非法无效，这是否表明当时这一合约的签署国，包括日本和其他的国家，他们当时的战争状态仍然存在呢？如果这一合约非法。
As my colleague just said, the Treaty of the San Francisco was issued with the exclusion of important parties to the World War II, such as PRC and Soviet Union, in order to seek a separate peace deal with Japan. The document goes against the provision that each government pledge not to make a separate armistice or peace with enemies in the declaration by United Nations signed by 26 countries in 1942. It also violates the UN Charter and basic principles of international law. Anything set out in the treaty, including on the sovereignty over Taiwan or the handling of territory and sovereign rights of China as a non-signatory, is thus entirely illegal and null and void.
中方确实在1948年之后和日本签署了条约，所以1948年中方和日本签订了合约，所以中方的立场是确实接受旧金山合约，但现在却不承认。
也是不对。
I think your understanding is wrong. China has never recognized the sovereignty over Taiwan or anything on the sovereign rights of China as a non-signatory. China has never accepted or recognized any content in this regard. You mentioned the 1972 Sino-Japanese joint statement. The Japanese government stated that it recognized the PRC government as the sole legal government of China. And the PRC government reiterates that Taiwan is an inalienable part of Chinese territory. The Japanese government fully understands and respects the stand of the PRC government and maintains its stand under the Article 8 of the Potsdam Proclamation. These are important provisions on Taiwan between China and Japan. And Sino-Japanese joint statement should be apprehended in its entirety. Next one, please.
提问。据报道，
Hubei Media Group is reported that according to the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. formally designated cartel de los Soleils as a foreign terrorist organization from November 24th, imposing sanctions on its members, including Nicolas Maduro and other high-ranking officials. Well, Venezuela opposed this United States move, which interfered in its internal affairs. What's your comment? China opposes unilateral sanctions that have no basis in international law, authorization of the UN Security Council, and the interference of external forces in Venezuela's internal affairs, and on a pretext, we call on the U.S. to lift the illicit unilateral sanctions and choose the course of action that is conducive to peace, stability, and development in Latin America and the Caribbean region.